Hi YouTubers, this is an interesting video because it's a review, because today I saw an opera. I saw a real life opera in the West End. Actually no, it was in East End. Now I've never ever seen opera before because I'm a Londoner, but I'm working class, and growing up, well, opera's for them rich folk who wear them long opera gloves and ball gowns and sit in those boxes. Yeah, not for the likes of me. This one's different, however. It is called Clocks 1888 Degrina, and instead of being in Italian, it's in English. It is done in a working class Cockney, actually authentic for the time, accent, yet it's all sung. It's actually incredible. How to describe it? Well, I'm going to post a link to the website. Now, I saw this at the Hackney Empire, and obviously in Hackney, and sadly their last day is tomorrow, but I'm going to post a link to their website just to kind of, people want to read up on them, because this is different. Now, unlike a lot of operas that have grandiose and spectacle and big shiny lights, this is dark, this is brutal, this is graphic. It's very kind of realistic, reminiscent aspect of the real 1880s when this is set. The latter part of the 19th century, if you're a Londoner, it was a shithole. Now, there's a few things going on in this. Let me just describe the characters. First of all, there's Degrina, who is female, mixed race, who basically runs the clock. The clock itself, that's the opera's called Clocks. It is the heart of the East End. Basically, without this clock, the East End doesn't run. So, and it's the idea of when clocks did come about, obviously back then people didn't have watches. The clocks, you know, they were from the part of it. It's how you measured your day now. So, the clock runs the East End, and Greener runs the clock. However, she doesn't. Now, Green is an interesting character because she is brilliant. She is on the level of Albert Einstein brilliance. In the programme, which they gave to me, it even says, on the cusp of reaching ahead of Albert Einstein, she has calculations and theories and objectives, and she's an absolute genius, yet she is a mixed-raced Londoner running an East End clock. There's a bit of a twist in the characters, or what you expect from the characters. Another character who is there's two female and two male, is Ma. Now, Ma is Indian, fought against the British Raj, wound up being a ayah, like a nanny kind of thing, and wound up being dumped in the East End. She oversees Greener, and how to put a character, I'll be truly blunt, what you expect and what you get are totally different. Now, you're kind of used to seeing Indian characters in these Indian dramas of the period, especially within the British Empire, to be, and I hate to use the word, but they're subservient. They're, yes, master, let me clean my shoes, massa, that kind of thing. Oh, she isn't. She is horrific. She is brutal. She is dark. It's kind of like, as she describes it, the East End kind of seeped into her soul and destroyed her idealism. The destruction of idealism, that is one of the central themes of this piece. That's what makes it so effective. However, these two women have positions of power, if you will, but they're overseen by two other characters. Now, one of them is the author. That's the only name we get. He's from the West End. He's very well-to-do, top hat and tails, you know, quite posh. Now, his ideal, or his idealism, I don't think he's the elder child, is to go down to the East End and meet the real people, to pretty much describe what it's like to be in the East End at this time. Okay, I made that easy for you. Shit. And he sees the East End of London, which from the, you know, I'm actually a West Londoner. West and East aren't really that much different. As going to native territory, you know, going down among the natives. Yeah. Now, I'll get to the characters and actual actors playing to them, but he's not what you expect from a drama like this. Now, from the idea, you expect him to be a gung-ho, opinionated, idealistic, wealthy, willing to rescue the East End, which other dramas would have done on a heartbeat at the time. Example, mentally, I was thinking North and South, where you have Thornton trying to sort out his workers. That's a bad example, but it's a close example. This guy is, put this way, he is not Rochester, he is not Thornton. He's wet, he's prissy, he's idealistic, and he's a dreamer, and he's got no idea how the world works. And funny enough, even though his belief is to walk among the people, he still looks down on them from the clock tower. However, the most interesting character is Costa. Now, Costa is the master of the clock tower, and through him, he runs the East End of London. Okay, I'm going with some logic here. He is nasty, he is brutal, he is dangerous, he is edgy, and he's from the mean streets. He sees the world how it really is, and he sees the world as basically fruitless and pointless, and he's just he according to the blurb, I didn't get his first time round, he also collects for the bosses from the sweatshops of the East End, and always happy to turn the misfortune of others to his advantage. That's his character. He's the bastard. He's basically stepped out of a Charles Dickens novel, and he actually does not quote Dickens, but he quotes Charles Dickens, if you will, as mentioned at one point. So, now, what makes these characters interesting is, these are their names. Greener, Mark, Costa, Author. That's their names. That gives them a kind of like separateness from this. It kind of like heightens. It's not meant to be realistic. It never is realistic in that kind of setting. But it's to give them the kind of like detachment. We're not seeing realism. We are seeing archetypes, as with Charles Dickens. You know, Oliver Twist is mentioned by one point by Costa. And funny enough, well, in Oliver Twist, there's people, they're archetypes. And I actually hate Oliver Twist, so that's why I'm throwing that in there. Now, this opera is different because the whole thing is done with actually pretty realistic late 19th century Cockney accent. Now, this is hard for anyone to do, and every single character, well, apart from Author because he's not a Cockney, and Ma, who's obviously throwing a bit of Indian there, nails it. That's one of the most impressive things about this. They are nailing it. Now, one thing that kind of separates this from others is Factorcape being English set. Actually, I saw this in Hackney, so actually set within the East End itself. There is a kind of a note of realism about this play, which, even though it's archetypal or archetypical, you really can't ignore. Now, I want to quickly go through the characters. Now, the actual actors playing the characters, because this actually is important. For Greener, the mixed race female, the keeper of the clock, if you will. Now, her name is Keisha Atwell. Now, according to her blurb on the back, thank you for the free program. I've never seen her in anything. I'm sorry. But according to this, she was Jude in EastEnders. I don't watch EastEnders, so I've got no idea how Jude is. You nailed this. Now, hard enough to do opera in a Cockney accent, you nailed. If they ever did a revival Oliver Twist, you are Nancy. You are automatically Nancy. There is no other question. You brought a bitter grittiness, aspect of hope, but above all, your character was defeated at all times. You played a mechanical genius who could be up there with, Einstein, and instead you run a clock. There's a whole kind of like Oscar Wilde, in the gutter but looking at the stars. You only know the stars when they go so far, even up in your tower, looking down, up the stars and down at the people. You're fantastic. For the moment you stepped onto stage and opened your mouth, you just believed in your character, and you wanted a happy ending for you. This is the kind of opera where these characters, you want happiness for them, but at the same time watching it, you're kind of uncomfortable with realising how the inevitability of the ending. I won't ruin that for you, okay? Now, second up is Ma, who is played by Patricia Rosario. I've never seen you in anything. You're an OBE, and you. I did like you. How to describe your character? Okay, I know if I say this out loud, brutally racist. That's one thing about this opera, is from what you expect to what you get. She's a very conflicting character. She basically fought against the British Raj, got abandoned in the East End. She's lost all hope. There are moments where her racism towards Greener are absolutely brutal, but at the same time, there are moments where she's tender towards her. It's kind of this conflict to where she is to where she wants to be. I won't ruin it for anyone, but there's a nice little twist in her tale. And Patricia, I've never seen you in anything. You are absolutely fantastic. So, kudos to Patricia Rosario. Now, next up we have the author, Adam Temple Smith. Now, out of all the characters, he actually had the hardest role, because he was I'm going to be honest, your character, not you, okay, because from your thing, you are the least inexperienced cast member. You've done quite a bit, but it says here you're in your final year of a postgraduate study at the Royal Northern College of Music. Congratulations, by the way. But your character had to have moments of idealism, moments of hope, moments of willing to transgress. And you did a fantastic job. At times, it felt like everyone else was kind of like overwhelming you, but if that was intentional or not, within the context of this opera, that worked, because you came in with these ideals from your ivory tower, and yet the East End was swallowing you up. It was crushing your soul. And the ultimate futility of your actions and ideals was brutal, heartbreaking, and I'll be honest, I wish you every success, because you definitely earned it with this. So congratulations on your degree. Best actor in this though is Dickon, and I'll be honest, I've read A Secret Garden. I've never met anyone called Dickon before, so I hope members of your family is a fan of that book, because it's actually a pretty good book. Dickon Goff as Costa, you nailed this. From the moment you came on, you were a character from Dickens. Every single line, every single emotion, even when the gaze was off you, if you glanced over, you were reacting, you were interacting, you got your character and your singing voice. When you sung, I believe it's a baritone, I'm not an expert on music, it was clear and we could hear it, but there was this undercurrent of bitterness and grit running through you. You, as Costa, you are a nasty, evil, wicked, sweatshop beater. You know, you treated everyone like shit, including at times the author, even though he was superior to you due to his social status. In the East End, you run the show, and there was this subconscious way of slipping that in a way that the author didn't realise, but the audience most definitely did, which is, you know, we were in on it, which was very, very effective. So, now, if you're going to see this, just hopefully see it with Dickon Goff, because he was absolutely superb. I've never seen him in anything. I'm not on first ever opera after all, but you brought so much to this. You elevated this. Now when I saw you on stage, I just sat there thinking, you are a natural villain, and I want to see you in a lot more. Hey, movies, okay? Hey, if Shakespearean actors, okay, can become super villains, you can too, okay? I'm just throwing that out there. So, yeah, anyway, set-wise, it was brilliant how minimalist it was compared to our operas that you see that are spectacular and grand. This was basic. It was one set, it was a clock tower, that was it. It was a self-contained world. That kind of led to the tension of what was going on, because you know, these characters in this confined environment with a clock that runs the East End, and what happens when the clock breaks. That brought the tension more to it. Now, the first act, it was fantastic, but the second act, the tension in this was unbearable. It was absolutely magnificent how it all kind of came together. The ideas, the idealism, the expectation, the reality. To be honest, it's less than 2 hours long, including interval, but at the end of it, I actually felt exhausted by what I just seen. It was a very, very overwhelming piece, and actually from someone who was a Londoner. So, you nailed it. Now, according to their details, this is quite interesting. This is the first of a trilogy about clocks. Now, this one is quite funny, being set in 1888, because the unions are mentioned, the British Empire is mentioned, slavery is mentioned a bit, because by this point slavery had actually ended, obviously racism was still rampant. And immigration and integration, especially from Costa's point of view, was a bit of a central theme running through it. The kind of words he was saying were very kind of central to the 21st century and the problems that people believe that we're facing today. I won't get into the argument, but there was that going through. It kind of shows, okay, no matter what happens, every single one, every single generation is the same. So 1888, slavery is over, the empire is still in full swing, and it was a lot of it about people's identity within this, which I thought was quite clever. So 1888. However, the next one, I like this, and I do hope to see this, and it's out in 2 years. It's called Clocks 1759. Now, 1759 is quite interesting because 1759 was about the start of the Industrial Revolution. The Industrial Revolution started about 1750. So, and a second opera is currently in development and will premiere in 2018. It was an imperialism, slavery, and a search for longitude, and will innovate in form and place, hidden stories centre stage. So, we have in this, I guess the 1880s is still industrial, but it's kind of like showing like the darker aspects of the industrial age. You know, the grittiness, the bitterness, the overpopulation, the slums, the workhouses. However, by setting the next one in 1759, at the start of the revolution, if you will, it kind of gives it kind of hopeful aspect, if you will. We've seen the darkness, but I now may seen a lighter aspect. But obviously, this is 2 years away. I don't know. Now, the company is the Broadley Company. Details have been the link. And you were fantastic with this. Now, the orchestra was small. I saw 2 people, and 3 if you count the conductor. There may be more in the pit, but we didn't see them. The music was fantastic, the tension unbelievable. There was a melancholic air running through this, even with the most dramatic moments. So, it's the minimalism in this works in its favour. So I'm once again recommending this opera. Now, by setting the next one, if a prequel, if you will, well, get to see hopefully maybe something grander. The idea like just the revolution, the steam engine, things like that. But anyway, Broadley Company, and who actually directed this? Composer was Martin Ward, and the director. Here we are, Dominic. I'm pronouncing this wrong. Hingorini, and hopefully I pronounced that correctly. Congratulations on your directorial, because you did brilliantly. The pacing was great, the story was sound, and you created a world full of archetypes, but at the same time there's only kind of realism running through it that cannot be ignored. It's a period piece and a heightened one, but it was a great one. So, kudos to your company. I wish you every success. Thanks for watching this. I'll be posting this on your Facebook page, if that's okay. And thanks for watching. I said before, I've never seen opera before, but apart from, hey, I've seen What's Opera Doc, which is an adaptation of the Wagner's The Ring. So what can I say? Just to quote Bugs Bunny, would expect in an opera a happy ending. That's all, folks. Sign off.